Welcome back to X's for Show, your number one stop for all your favorites here on YouTube. You can check us out at X's for Show. As for me, I'm at Nico Action, NICOACTION Palooza. Woo! Try again for me, Hanson.
And I am at TK Elemental.
And I'm SM Tori, and I'm here to make it clear. You can find me on the socials at SM Tori. How about you, bud?
Yes, Pink Jonah is not with us this week, but I was too lazy to make a new title card. However, am your
He's with us in spirit.
He is always with us in spirit. Who knows? Maybe he'll join us in the chat. We'll see. However, am your producer, Kev O'Reilly. You can find me at Kev O'Reilly. Please make sure to like, subscribe, and comment so we know what you want us to cover in the future. But yeah, we got some perusing. We got some LaLaPaRuZa to go.
I love LaLaPaRuZa. It is really crazy because one of the things that I think that Drag Race gets super wrong is it really isn't like a drag show at all. It's like a show about drag. That's not the same thing. And so this is one of the few things that actually reminds me of like a lot of my favorite drag shows because there's even those numbers where you can't figure out who the fuck picked it and thought this was going to get the whole crowd going.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
So I'm here to LaLaPaRuZa. I'm super excited. First thing I want to ask, just to get us all started, how do you feel about the winner of this LaLaPaRuZa? Clearly, it went to, but obviously spoilers. It came out today. We're talking about it today. We're live. We're reacting. We were sipping our house.
Cut away quick if you don't want to know,
right? But it's shocking that Roxy has gone this long without a loss. But now it would be shocking if she did lose. So. Good for Roxy. I love Roxy. I'm a big fan. Think she definitely deserves to win big time. What do you guys think about Roxy and her big win? Just to kind of start things off for a minute.
I did not think she was the winner of that lip sync.
Neither did I.
Really?
No, big time did not think she was the winner by a clear margin. Nobody was bad at all. And that this was a great LaLaPaRuZa overall because nobody was bad. But I don't think Roxy won this at all. I do think she won her other two. Who was her first one?
It was Holding Out for a Hero.
Georges.
Oh, yes, with Georges. Yeah, Georges. That was one of those ones. Sometimes you just kind of want to be like, and by luck of the draw, you have lost by showing up. Like, Georges, I know you don't know this song. I know you don't care about Bonnie Tyler. I don't even think you care about the Shrek version. I love you very much. You are beautiful and wonderful, but I absolutely am 100% certain you know nothing about this song and that it is the most...
Kevo made the same joke. Kevo literally was like, do you think that Georges sat there and went, I love Shrek?
Yes. Honestly, she is the peak demographic for Shrek version.
I think she's too young for even that.
Shrek and Donkey.
It's exactly what I said. It's Shrek and Donkey. It's right here, right now.
I love that.
Holding Out for a Hero.
I see it. But yeah, I mean, like, Roxy, even if she didn't have a story, which I loved that she did, just immediately, if I'm RuPaul, I'm like, Roxy, I know the song is important to you and you have a number for it. And you've thought, like, at length about how you would perform this exact song. And I just would have been like, we're just going to call it right here. Sometimes we do that. I think it'd be really funny. I think that would be hilarious. I think at some point that should just happen because it's very funny. But yeah, so Roxy...
We've been near that a few times, too, where we've been like, you should just say yes.
Yeah, it's just not this poor other girl. It's just so clearly not her. There are times where it's like, the song is like, I'm a strong black woman, and the whitest person in the cast is the other person lip syncing. And you're like, it just wouldn't be appropriate. Like, it sucks that you drew this, but here we are.
Yeah, it takes being a jinx witch to get through it.
Yeah.
Thorgy was going to lose that one even before the pearl spilled. Like, for me, I'm very happy. I thought Roxy won all of these pretty handily. I think Chanel gave it her very, very best Chanel. but I think they already gave her the "We Want to Show You Some Love" badge last week.
The Mercy win.
So I think that unless Chanel had pulled out something ridiculous out from under her giant wig, it was going to be Roxy's in the bag no matter what.
And I really do feel the same way. And, in part because whether I had never seen any of it before or I'd seen it all 100 times, you cannot take from me that I have seen every English-speaking season of the entire franchise in 18 months. And you just can't. And so, that includes Canada, Australia, UK, the Verse the Worlds. And there are certain design elements to how this goes. It does feel like this is Roxy's to win or lose sometimes. But yes. I want to, Kevo, I want to ask you, because one of the things is that, Roxy brings up very famous people doing very famous performances of this. And I just want to say, I did not once see Roxy motherfucking Andrews fall from the sky and land in a split. So I just feel like she was summoning some big magic and didn't deliver. But Kevo, as soon as they were like, Roxy's doing Holding Out for a Hero, I literally started to tear up.
You did. I recall. I think I feel bad because that one, it really didn't impress me as I was going through and getting all of these screen caps for this. I felt like it was a lot of her lip syncs this LaLaPaRuZa were a lot of hairography, and that's not quite the greatest performances for me. I'm looking for something that's a little bit more dance, acrobatic, a little bit more focused on knowing the words, and especially when you're doing hairography, you are keeping people from seeing your mouth. But yeah, I thought that was very odd.
I just realized, thank you for reminding me, Kevo, I don't think she won in the Angeria lip sync either because she didn't have the rap.
I think she had the rap better than Angeria did.
Did she? Am I just remembering this wrong?
Well, I do want to. I don't want to disagree with Tori. I think part of what I notice is not when they do or don't have it. I notice that I can't tell because of the cuts.
There's that too. We always have to remember that a narrative is being written by the producers when it comes to cutting a lip sync. I don't know. I guess I felt like Angeria was moving to, like, she broke the song down into its component parts and had some moves appropriate to the component parts of a song that is very different from moment to moment. And Roxy was kind of overloading on hairography. And the only reason then why Break Free was definitely, to me, a loss for Roxy was because Chanel showed up with another thing to ography rather than her hair, in that she had the cape, she had the jacket. I thought a little more was going to come of the jacket, but when Roxy was flipping and Chanel was waving her cape, I was like, Chanel just won in my eyes. Like, I fully was like, I just loved this so much. She does look like one of the nurses at the beginning of Return to Oz that is about to electrocute Dorothy Gale for sanity's sake. But I think that's campy as fuck. I'm here for it. I loved it. She looks like one of Mombi's heads. We should have just done a Wizard of Return to Oz theme, but okay.
I just also feel like Roxy's joy really shone through this whole time. And also, to be clear, I am not a Roxy fan. I have disparaged Roxy all day, every day, and probably will continue to do so in the future. But I watched this like it was the 7th game of the World Series. The Yankees are down are tied at 3 each, and Mariano's sick. Like, I was everywhere about this, and I just it was hers. This is hers, and
I love that. Go.
But I don't know. I think they might have given her this so they can crown someone else.
I love where you're coming from, because that's how I feel about Chanel. I'm not really a huge Chanel fan. I recognize how iconic she is, but I feel like it's been in a very floppy way on Drag Race. Like, again, my thing with Chanel is, like, I kind of don't worry about Chanel because I know she worked. Like, I always worry about the flop queens that I'm like, and that queen is never going to get a gig. Like, nobody wants to see that poor flop. But Chanel, I'm just like, she didn't do great on Drag Race. I thought that was a weird way to exit her first season. You know, being on All Stars 1 is never an accomplishment. But I know that she works big in Vegas, and she's big in Vegas, so I don't worry about her. But I would not have considered myself really a Chanel fan, and I think I really do consider myself more of a Roxy fan. But I had kind of the opposite thing where I was just like, I felt like Chanel was living for all of her lip syncs. I felt like
Also was.
yeah,
It was a celebration.
I love it. Let's brand it right now. Let's get the t-shirts going. Let's
Celebration.
let's put a show together. I
I was
was
icon for this thing. So
I
they really
will
need to go on their
say-
own branding.
Yeah, I will say I watched the Untucked for this as well. We're not gonna get a post LaLaPaRuZa conversation next episode because they had it in Untucked. They even got de-dragged in Untucked at the end. So like if you want to watch those conversations like you're used to at the beginning of the episodes, you have to watch Untucked this time.
Yeah.
Also because it gave us apparently Chanel has a new phrase for life. It's called fuck it, which I'm very fascinated by because every time I've said that in my life, it has gone horribly wrong.
Well, be a white man. It
So-
helps.
well, and you know, I was actually one of the things I was getting to was that's what I've been feeling from Chanel is she's just kind of like, I don't know, I almost got to a point where it felt like I was not going to win at all, and she cried in front of RuPaul, and like after that, it really does just seem like she's like, fuck it, I don't know, I'll just do whatever, and I'll do it my hardest, and if I win, I win, and if I don't, I don't, and that's where she's had the most success. I was a little bummed that she didn't win because I was feeling it. I was feeling her. I really thought it was her. But I also think feeling it exactly. Oh Lord, two things that should never come together: Drag Race and is that Blink or is that Angels and Airwaves?
I think it's technically Blink because I can hear Mark Hoppus going, "The drag queens are on the stage."
There you go. Okay. I think Tori, you really might be right that this was. Roxy was always a front runner. She was always one of the best. You can tell she had 5 badges at the LaLaPaRuZa, and then like 2 queens are going to somehow collect huge numbers of badges in the grand finale. Anybody has the path to win, and Roxy will not win. I could absolutely
she's also
see
got
that.
37.5. She declares in the Untucked. She's got 37,500 after this point for her charity. Like if they're gonna give her the 200K on top of it, I think that might be one of the highest numbers one of the queens has won on her own.
Yeah.
So
And it's I wonder the narrative will go one of 2 ways. It's either, you know, Roxy, the champ that she is, came and showed up and did her best job and did so well. Clearly, have fun in Orlando next week. Or it will be the queen who has always been, you know, your favorite drag queen's favorite drag queen, just finally completed her RuPaul journey and finally won. Like the Chads, like all of the, like Shea Coulee, all these people that we thought should have won. She finally has. And I think that RuPaul is still sitting with those 2 tapes in her hand, trying to see which one they're putting in to air. It's not actually a tape, guys. Calm down.
And
it could be.
It is Ru.
One of the things that is getting so strange about this show and this season is how far they're kind of like getting away from what they're even trying to sell us as the format. Because this LaLaPaRuZa's runway was just them walking out and getting announced, which was
but
very
that has happened before,
right? But I mean, like, we are getting so far from girls be well-rounded. We are really like, there was no episode here. There was nothing but the dancing. There was next to no confessionals.
Yeah.
There was next to no backroom shit. This was one of the leanest episodes in a really long time. And I think the VH1 Where Are They Now background soundtrack loop also really played into that. I loved every one of these songs for the most part. Kevo, do you happen to have a graphic with all of the songs?
Yes.
I really am a fan of most of these. In fact, in the background, we're running my En Vogue loop of my Lovin'.
Hold on.
But
what do you mean when you say running my En Vogue loop, Nico?
Oh, I arranged Never Gonna Get It. And we're playing that in the background right now. Just having a good time.
really give it a listen, folks, because as I told Nico, it does sound like part of the soundtrack to a Final Fantasy game that is set in 90s Earth, and now I want to play that game. So just great work, Nico.
Well, thank you. But like, what I do want to ding is this is a lot of, oh, okay, cool, and that song. Like, I love Chanel being in this season, but if it was an entire season of Chanel's, I'd cringe. And this, other than perhaps When I Grow Up, this is a bunch of Chanel's.
Well, it was funny, and I was even thinking about like Break Free it's at least 10 years old at this point, I think.
Oh, more. That's
yeah.
from her like Sitting on a Stool album.
Yeah, so it's like that song is from when those two older for Drag Race queens were really pretty young. Were in their 20s. That's like their
a decade this month.
Yeah, there you go. So that's like from when they were in their club days, when they were in their early days, when they were in their just kicking it days. This was a song where, like, for Georges, this was a song that was like when she was in grade school. And so like there were no songs here that were popular, like, you know, there's no Charlie XCX, there's no Sabrina Carpenter, there's no, like, for the younger girls, there's nothing that really represents them. These were a lot of classic tracks, all of which I too love. But like, even When I Grow Up is an old song. Like, I think that's definitely older than 10 years.
Well, these are also
20.
all songs they've done before that are fan favorites that were pushed.
For sure.
Again.
For sure. But like, you know, I mean, like, I Padam is probably a little too close, but like that, I think that would have been a fan favorite too. Like, there are fan favorites that span the whole catalog. So it did seem like they really went classic with it. Did you say When I Grow Up is 20 years old, Nico?
Yeah.
That's
it
homophobic.
Has to be.
Don't lie. Don't lie to me.
We did it in 2008, and it was already like everywhere, kind of old by the time we did it. I saw the world.
Yeah, I saw the Pussycat Dolls live with my ex-boyfriend while we were still dating.
No, it's only 5 years old, but thank you guys for chiming in. That's
5.
Just 5 years old.
Nicole Scherzinger's in
She's
Sunset
29.
Boulevard now.
She's 29.
Yeah, hold on, though. Hold on. I did not know that famous pop stars were allowed to compete like this is Secret Celebrity Drag Race. Because, you guys, Nicole Scherzinger came out and performed When I Grow Up. That was the most unbelievable look. Plastique always looks 2,000,000% too beautiful, 2,000,000,000% too polished, and 2,000,000,000% too perfect. But this is a world without time because not a soul can clock. So I cannot get over how good Plastique looks.
And I also thought she won that lip sync.
She looks amazing. She does not connect to any song you put in front of her.
Oh, I thought she did to that song. I thought she I thought she won that song. I did not think Vanjie won.
No. There was no point where I was like, oh, does this split have to do with a lyric? No. Does her face or anything have to do with the lyric? No.
But Vanjie wasn't doing anything that had to do with the lyrics either.
She was doing it a little more, a pinch more. She was at least making eye contact and like vaguely.
But the eyes were crazy eyes.
Hold on, wait,
you
guys.
could be crazy
I have something. We're gonna get somebody to break the tie. We have Brooklyn Heights right here. Brooklyn, what do you want to say to your ex-girlfriend Vanjie, who, when we found out that Vanjie and Roxy used to almost kick it, like they were like two dumb Miami girls just laying in their bed, pumping the Jodeci, talking about going to see Mimi in concert, thinking about how much they can't wait to get
the more you describe it, the worse it gets.
Also, can we figure out what the fuck a key lime espresso is and then have it?
This is all terrible.
I can make a key lime espresso martini, probably.
Oh, God.
Giving new meaning to the phrase, you picked fruit, you stuck with fruit.
I just want to say that if you add flavor of poppers to the end of that sentence, it all comes together.
I'm ending it all.
Also, Vanjie's too handsome. Too handsome, too hot, too everything.
Yes. Way too everything. Her lips are a little dry here. I'm gonna be a dick. Yeah, no, I totally think she won that I think Plastique won that lip sync. I don't know. I felt bad because Vanjie seemed so ready to go and she had so much energy, but she was just kind of wacky, waving arms, inflatable tube manning around, and I don't know. I don't know. I didn't do it for me at all. I will say, people may or may not know, I run a bed and breakfast. I do all the work at the bed and breakfast. I was cleaning rooms in the bed and breakfast today and watching this, and then a guest came to check in, and so I paused it and went downstairs and brought them up to their room, which is where I had been watching this, and it was just like completely freeze framed on Plastique's taint. So
Oh, I thought it was gonna be on like Vanjie's ass. Just
no, it's Plastique upside down, pointing to her vulva.
I
So
screenshot that part. I saw it. Yeah, that's great.
So welcome to Portland and to this bed and breakfast.
they know what they're getting into.
I
I'm
want to
tipping
point to
extra.
your vulva one more time. To
Yes.
your vulva here in Portland.
Yeah, my
because
Portland vulva.
You told me the best story about you running.
Oh God, yeah, this was so good too. I'm having like a very drag synchronicity summer.
Yeah, you have a drag summer, baby. It's great.
So the other day I was running and I saw a very large, attractive man, and I've given up on subtlety, and so I just very loudly tongue popped, which is something I do with my husband, just because nobody seems to notice. If you're just around normal people and you just tongue pop to indicate you think somebody's hot, nobody has any idea. Jake and I do it all the time, so I've just started doing it whenever I see an attractive man. And his wife, in the thickest Midwestern accent I have ever heard in my life, goes, "Oh, just like Alyssa Edwards." It was really great. It was
Good for you. It takes a
I
lot
kept
to have
running.
that talent.
I had a good time that day. I stayed close to 8-minute miles. So I think I have the strength of a god at that point.
Yeah.
I
At least
honestly
have the
don't know
strength
how.
facing a straight man.
Yeah, I also don't know how Alyssa
Right.
Edwards does it so many times in a row. I can snap
I know,
my
she's
soft
truly
palate,
so
but it's
good.
like after like 5 of them, I'm like, I need a tic tac.
The tongue hath broken.
She actually had a bunch of her fat rolls removed and had it put in right under her neck.
Rude.
So back rolls. So okay.
Tongue
Plastique-
rolls.
Two people. Okay. So here's the thing. I want to ask a question. Gotmick got bad decisions, right? This was such a moment for her. I'm not coming for Nina because I love Nina, but the 5 minutes of actual story we got this episode was Nina and Chanel being like, well, I'm not talented like these other girls, so people should feel bad for me. And like, I don't think that's true of either of them. And I think Chanel
Nina's on fucking Broadway. I'm not going to hear it.
Exactly. And I think it was, just a moment of being honest and candid that was put on camera. Maybe there'll be a name for that, something like candid camera. But the thing that really had me kind of going, was nobody was like, oh, Nina. I pick Nina. I would like to challenge Nina to a drag dance. Nina.
No.
I was just surprised that everybody wasn't like, yeah, Nina first. And the only reason that really surprises me is because there has been a strong overt current to doubt Nina. And I mean, whoever Trevor is, he is just fine with having no money for his project.
So Gotmick, I sort of wonder if this was a checkout. If this after the episode with Bob where she's just so miserable, I've been wondering if she's just like, I can't leave, but like I don't need to do this because I also maybe especially if I were Gotmick, I maybe would have picked Nina only because there are some queens where if you pick them, they are clearly going to pick a song that just doesn't work for you. And then there are other, like there was no song there that Nina would have picked that Gotmick couldn't figure out how to connect with in a way that, I'm not going to say it would have been better than how Nina connected with it, but it would have been distinct enough and Gotmick enough that it would have outweighed it in a way that I just think she was not thinking.
I think she double backed herself. She was like, okay, I have to remember to think strategically about this. So I want to pick who's going to give me the song that I want, who's also not going to kick my ass, and I don't want to be. I don't know. I think some of these young girls really do have a soft spot for Nina. I think Nina's been doing some serious congeniality work in the background that we don't know about, because it seems like no one is like going after her. And I don't know. I think Gotmick did some math on this one and was like, I really don't think this is going to go my way. They really do seem to not be doing this. And also, I've never been that impressed by Gotmick's lip syncing to begin with. So she wanted to bow out on this one, where it's like, oh, that's such a shame she got out on the first round, versus doing really well against Nina and then bombing against the top half of this team.
Yeah.
Because she could have very easily gotten herself in the second round and just bombed next to one of pick a hoe.
Really, it's kind of like a dance heavy season. It's a dance and design heavy season, and like I don't know. They all sang fine in the Rusical, so I'm not saying that they can't sing, but a lot of these girls aren't known for their singing. I don't think everybody's like, did you guys hear Vanjie dropped a single? I think they would be like, she dropped a single and it smashed and she screamed loudly. Like, oh my God. So I feel like some of the girls here kind of had to, like you said, TK, kind of go through the motions. And I wonder if there'd been better song choices, if it might have been a little different. But end of the day, I thought things like Groove is in the Heart, everybody has the same 4 references at this point. They all do the same, peek the little pussy out, do the little shimmy, do the ooh, like to the point where at one point when Plastique and Vanjie were doing I almost said their number together, because there were so many points where they were perfectly mirrored together at one another. I'm very positive on all of it, but like this was a lower end LaLaPaRuZa for me.
I mean, I haven't seen all of them. I've only seen a few. I enjoyed this a lot. I think that it was a way to make sure that everyone saw the lip sync capabilities of the girls, which is also why I think RuPaul chose these songs. They're all either dramatic, older school ones, or kind of dancey, fun, older school songs plus Pussycat Dolls. So I think that's what they chose. They were like, we've got dramatic girls and we've got dancey girls and Gotmick. So this is what we're going to showcase. This is what we're going to be all about.
I really even like what you're saying about and Gotmick and the Pussycat Dolls, because like this is where I now am playing this game pretty hardcore. Mm-hmm. When Ru said at the end, every one of you has a path to victory, she's talking mathematically, not talent-wise. Mm-hmm. Because I don't know that it's Vanjie, Nina, and Chanel have the same number of badges. Oh no, now Chanel has 3. So it's Vanjie, Nina, and Mick have 2 badges.
Thank you, Kevo.
And so, yes, thank you so much, Kevo, for this amazing graphic. So I find myself thinking like, okay, that is not 3. So the math on this is where I'm interested. I want to know the gameplay. Is this going to be shoots and ladders? Are we going to be trading badges? What are you getting badges for? Is it going to be like we're doing trivia? 1 badge per question. At the end, is it going to wind up with people with 11 and 12 badges? What are we doing? And at what point is it that the points don't matter? Growing up, my friend Heather and I had a game we invented. And it was this really complex game that was purposefully like 4 boxes. And we would teach it to people. And like we'd get to the end. And then it would ultimately be this one random thing. It was like, I honestly, at any given time, it would be like how many pencils are on the table. If it's an odd number, you win. If it's an even number, you lose. And like you would play this 2-hour game. And it would be this like dumb chaos thing. Yeah. That's what the badges are becoming for me. Because I I don't know that we actually are going to get a satisfying answer about a winner based on badgery.
I mean, if we take it from the last time there were badges in the mix, I think it is possible that the grand finale will offer 2 opportunities to earn 3, or like 2 girls at the end can earn 3, because that would mean that Mick, Nina, and Vanjie could ultimately have 5, which would put them with Roxy in the top 3. So that's your winners right there, and then everybody else, obviously, if they get 3, they're in the top.
Do you know what? Do you know what I might have liked too if there was a little bit more of a distinction on where the badges like came from, so it was a little bit clearer how many people swept, here.
Blue badges for acting, white badges for singing, red badges
and
for
they all
fashion.
count for the same points,
Right?
A little bit clearer denotation of who.
I like that.
Drag scout badges.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, Tori, brand it.
And because then they would become the ambassador, because then you would have them be the ambassador to when they do the comedy season, to when they do, we're not saying think you have a channel. We're saying this format is tired. You need to stop doing All Stars all the fucking time, because it's not even some stars now. It's board stars, and they're not as into it as they used to be.
Yeah.
I still hold out hope that the badges are going to become something where you get, I don't know, there was a trailer at the end that showed the return of lipsticks coming. And so I would be interested if the more badges you have, you get first dibs at, I don't know, pulling your lipstick out and making sure that you're not taken by someone. I don't know. If there are 8 boxes and you have 5, you only show up in 3 of them. If you have 2, then you show up in 6 of them. That kind of thing.
I wondered if it was going to be pick your top 3. Who would you take to the top 3 with you? I also wondered if it was going to be you have 3 lipsticks, give out 3 badges. I wonder how it's going to go, because there's this famous scene. Just to everyone needs to understand, I literally can't fall asleep without watching an episode of Golden Girls every single night. I just literally can't fall asleep without it. And there's an episode in which Dorothy, Blanche, Sophia, and Rose find out that they can't all live together because the 3 of them can't rent from Blanche in Dade County. You can't have more than 2 renters. So the solution would be for everybody to buy in and be a mortgage. But at the point that they haven't gotten to that idea yet, they're voting on who has to move out. And everybody is going to vote for themselves, they think. But everybody votes for Dorothy. Because she's strong and she
even
can
her
handle
own mother.
Yeah, yes. And
Dorothy.
And it is a certain. Everybody. Dorothy was afraid that everyone was going to vote for Rose, and she didn't want it to be a sweep because she thought it might hurt, and it did.
Her.
But that is what it's kind of getting to be at the end here, where they're kind of and a badge for. I'm sorry, Roxy. Nobody wants to give you another badge. And another badge for. I'm sorry, Roxy. Nobody is giving you another badge. And Sorry, Roxy. You're out. There is going to be a point at which you can't. I don't care how many people's favorite she is. She already won a small house in the Midwest for charity. And so far, all Nina West has is a bunion from bad dancing shoes. So I don't understand.
No one made her pick those shoes.
She has worn
the rest of your point stands.
I don't know why Nina, who I already think is first of all, Nina West's name should actually be Violet Chachki, and Violet Chachki's name should actually be Nina West. First of all.
Yeah.
That might be the funniest thing you've ever said.
Honestly, true.
Second of all.
Agreed.
I think she has gotten to a point where she has said, you guys think you know fashion? You think you know campy? I'll show you. Look out.
You think you know
Pam
Muppet
on
Flower
Mod Family.
Chic?
Yeah, no, this is I hate this. I love
Gotmick
her.
out here saying I'd wear that, and I'm like, you would? Good for you.
No,
I do have to give Nina credit for having the funniest look at camera when RuPaul was announcing them all at the end.
Look, yeah.
that always to me is that's the sign of a real queen. The one that I will always flash back to, because it was just the funniest, and it was early on, we didn't do this a lot, and she just nailed it, was Trixie doing the thumbs up, the like awkward smile thumbs up for her season of All Stars. Yep, there it is. Yeah. Oh, the other thing, just because this happened, when they were coming out, everybody got to, when they were walking out they were giving their runways to come out to lip sync for the first time. Everybody had like a little Real Housewives catchphrase where they're like, "Ooh, get ready to gape," except for Nina and Chanel. They were like, "Don't give it to these old bitches." And there was no balancing force where they were like, well, they each get a piece of running commentary that nobody else gets.
It actually was really weird. As I was going through and getting the screen caps for this runway, I was like, yeah, this is a normal amount of time for everyone. And then as we were getting to the end of the list, I was like, wait, slow down. Like, I don't know if it's one of those things like you don't realize until you get to the end of your homework that you messed up, and so you're just kind of trying to write. You
just got to do it. It's got to get to air, so we're just doing it this way.
I don't know.
I mean, yeah. But it is little moments like these. You gotta, kids, I'm talking to you. You gotta pay attention, because these are the things that remind you. Somebody edits this show. Somebody produces this show. Mm-hmm. Somebody saw the cut where Nina and Chanel are the only two people that don't get a catchphrase on the lip sync, and somebody said, air it. It's great as it is. Somebody chose to cut it out, and somebody chose to air the episode. And there's just so many little things like that on Drag Race all the time where you're like, well, this is exactly how it happened, and I can tell because it's on camera. Nope, you really can cut the girl saying, I love racism, if you just don't show their mouths moving and cut them saying 3 words.
And don't tell me that that's not something that people have gotten so good at that we didn't have to come up with terms for it. The deep fake and stuff. I also want to make 2 quick references. Number 1, deep cut. Somebody definitely said drag is not a contact sport. And that's just out there for everybody who's been physically assaulted by Mimi. I'm first. Second, it's getting worse and worse every week, but it is hitting a point where I think that, and I say this as a Latino, I say this as a Latin person with love, I think that Plain Jane and George's need to do Fantasy Island together, because they look so alike at this point. It is unreal to me how these 2 very different looks would look adorable in matching white tuxes.
Okay.
But I really think that George's and Plain Jane's makeup is like merging into one cougarish look.
I'm going to ask for a photo essay on this, if you can get back to me at the end of the week.
Not me Googling what Plain Jane looks like.
You're almost there.
I'm almost there.
I don't think you're wrong. I just I need to see photos.
It's just one of those things where I see it and I can't unsee it. But I also want to dig a little bit deeper on something that happened this episode that I thought was interesting, that kind of reminded me that one of the things is that All Stars is never going to be taken as seriously as a regular season. We tend to reserve, and tonight it's just family, for finales. One of the things about not having a guest judge is it winds up making it feel more canned than usual. I don't know that, for all the great sport that she is, I don't know that if Hugh Jackman came out to do an episode of Drag Race to promote his upcoming movie Drag Queen and Wolverine, that he wouldn't be kind of like, oh no, mate, I won't say that. Like, I don't know that he wouldn't decline lines. But when it's just the 3 of them and one of the pit crew boys just looking pouch stuffed, it's easier to control the entire conversation. This sometimes makes episodes like this, where we're all sort of agreeing they gave this to one person because the finale is going to go a predetermined way. I wonder if we're ever going to get to the point where they have alternate finales for these as well, because this felt controlled, like like a really tightly executed like a show, almost like its own script, and it's not supposed to be a script. It's supposed to be a dance-off.
I get it.
I think actually this is where the badges would have been a great place to be utilized to make almost like a bracket, one might say, where the queens with the most go up against the queens with the least in the first round. So it's a seeded bracket. And then it moves on from there, because that removes all of the ball nonsense.
These girls
and then
love
you
getting
can
seeded.
And so then it'll provide them with the control that they want while having a more plausible deniability.
It's funny because I was really thinking about like the bracket aspect of it and how this really just could have gone entirely differently if there had been different matchups. And the randomness is cute and fun. Was that just an accidental zoom, or do we really just need to focus on Bruno's traps?
No, accidental. I was trying to.
Because I love that. I want to, but also Bruno, you should not have let Vanjie's dentist do your teeth too. We got to stop somewhere, friends. We got to stop this veneers guy that's coming after these Drag Race girls.
But amen for a very buff built dude looking a little off season. If you're gonna look off season, look a little off season. The man's a beautiful king of men, but like we've seen him look tighter and buffer. Yeah. And like, so good for him letting himself look a bit off season on camera. It's beautiful. He looks amazing. And I would rather a few more boys with some body fat.
I mean, that it used to be how it was. And then we went real hard in the opposite direction. And I kind of like this, like this direction too.
I just live in a world of confusion that we're still have half naked men running around in Speedos, but I don't get as much excitement out of them as you all do. So,
no, I truly do not either. I loved Sean for his beautiful mustache and tattoos, and he's my only one. The rest of them I have not liked. Bryce creeps me out. You
leave that puppet dummy boy alone.
I really. Making there be something to how the bracket is made other than random selection, then you select and that person selects the song, I think would have been cool. I almost think like having some format to the bracket, to the creation of the bracket, and then random selection of the song might have been a neat way to do it.
Spin the wheel for your song.
Yeah, exactly, which we've done in the past. But the element of chance is fine. It's fun. The element of chance is very much there on Drag Race. And I think standing behind something like badge count or something, having you're getting matched up because of this element would have been really interesting and just like would have maybe prompted some thought at least.
Ooh, like low to high or something.
Yeah.
Because the fact of the matter is, it's the badge count doesn't actually affect how good you might be at a lip sync.
Yeah, exactly.
And that song. So yeah, something like low to high would have been really interesting. I mean,
George has heard high and she's really excited.
And she's done. She's sold.
She's in.
She was already there.
Ooh, girl, I'm in the cloud. So, okay. 2-part finale. What the fuck is this? The 3rd season finale of Perfect Strangers? Why are we doing a 2-part finale? Who the hell cares 2 Fridays in a row about any one thing? This is so weird that they are like promoting this as a 2-part finale. I feel like the 2-part finale went away with TGIF on Friday nights. I'm here for it. Providence, Judging Amy, other women's shows on Fridays. But I'm really surprised that they're treating this as a 2-part finale extravaganza, because there's ways in which that demotes the value of each episode. Then it's not 2 episodes. It's one thing over 2 episodes. It's sort of a weird change.
And I think part of what throws me about it is what you were saying about this episode, where having the judge be in-house, it made it very insular. So it feels like the season actually ended last week. And now we have like 3 weeks of drawing out this finale where we're doing a LaLaPaRuZa, which is fun, but ultimately, because there was no real judge, there was no outside judge, it was just kind of really, really just for fun. And now we're doing a finale across 2 weeks. This is really it feels drawn out now.
And it feels under-exciting. Like, one of the jokes that we keep making here on the show is that, like, who fucking cares about Global All-Stars anymore? It filmed, like, at least 6 months ago, and it was announced, like, a year in advance. My interest dropped, right? And
Where is it?
Where is it? And so,
at
like,
the beginning of our journey, we joked that I wouldn't have known who was on Global All-Stars anyway if you told me who the lead cast was. Now I'd know. That's how long it's been.
It's been so long you've forgotten all of them by now.
Yes, it's been that long again.
And I feel like we have already hit the point where Rue is leaving Australia. That feels so dramatic. Rue is excommunicating herself from Down Under, and she is abandoning Michelle Visage in a prison penal colony, and just leaving her there to die.
She's dumping baby Michelle off with the dingoes.
I want to say what I am referring to, the fact is that RuPaul's Drag Race Down Under is losing the RuPaul part and keeping the everything else, as Ru is no longer going to be judging Down Under, and instead that's going to become Michelle's first product. Now, what's interesting is while Michelle was not a part of the original incarnation of Drag Race due to contract problems, Michelle was the person who was expected to host the original UK version of Drag Race, but ultimately they decided to go with Ru herself. So we're moving to a place where we're transitioning the brand to understand that Ru can't be the face of everything everywhere. Now, of course, it's things like, the season that let's go with the most infamous angel in Rent ever, Valentina, is she has left Drag Race Mexico. And Brooklyn hosts Canada. But like, we are at the point where Ru can't do everything. She can't run the show by herself anymore. Mama's fucking old. I don't care how good those gams are. If the legs are the last thing to go, underneath that dress is terrifying. So the thing I'm left thinking about is how much time is left on the franchise with this construction of power. I'm hoping that All Stars 10 signals something, because All Stars had been one of the things that kind of got me into this show more than anything else. I was like, wow, we get to see the girls again in a couple of years. We get to see how they're doing. Now it's like the next day. And like literally Ginger Minge did not even have time to wash her ginger minge before she was back on the show.
You're not wrong.
I think I agree. I think that Ru is slowly going to be pulling back on some things. I think we've got maybe 5-ish more years of Ru being involved before she becomes someone who shows up for the finale as like she's here.
Premiere finale and a surprise appearance in the middle, like when Heidi is the surprise person you're designing for on Project Runway. Like, obviously, she's Heidi, or not anymore. Now it's Carly.
Right. So, like, for me, that's what I've kind of figured, that because she is approaching like regular people retirement age, not entertainment retirement age. So I could very easily see Ru being like, nah, it's 66 and a half. I get my Social Security and I get out of here. Like, I'm done. And so, yeah, she's probably considering succession, but I don't know if she's figured out who she wants. And I don't know if she's going to figure it out until she's like already signing the deed of not returning to her LA home.
She's signing the DNR and the power of attorney. She has gone to several free estate planning seminars.
Right. I mean, she will, whatever happens, I think the first thing we have to look for is, I think she might just start doing the show and not be in drag ever. Because she'd be fine to go on for a while longer if she didn't have to be in drag.
Like Lingo.
And I was going to say, so is it that she continues the show and doesn't show up in drag, which maybe you can't be like, hey, we're taking away one of the perks of the show? Or does she quit Drag Race forever and still do stuff like Lingo? Like, I don't think she'll retire is basically my point, but she might stop doing Drag Race.
I would love it if they had like a drag queen from the show every week as a judge and a celebrity and Michelle and somebody standard, so there's 5.
Yeah.
I don't know why they don't already do that, personally.
I mean, I think the big thing is they've banked so much on the final decision is mine to make, which again, that's a lie. It is. I will always say RuPaul has accepted the blame. She will always the public face is that it was her decision, but we all know that the producers basically tell her what to say. She can refuse, but they are giving her the best advice. They are saying who's going to play well. There's a huge crew of people behind the scenes that are making the decision and saying the right person to pick for the winner this season is blank. And I don't think she goes against them when she's like, well, I think this queen is cuntier, so I'm going with that. I think she just says, okay, that's who we'll crown.
Right. When I didn't see RuPaul show up for the finale of Canada, I was like, okay, she's like in charge, but not as in charge on this one.
Actually, it doesn't say RuPaul's drag
I know,
race.
like
It
that.
says
I know that's
Canada's
part of
drag
it.
race.
I'm actually wondering if they're going to take the RuPaul off the Down Under title.
They did.
I too wonder about that.
It's like Drag Race Down Under and a lot of the promotional now.
Yeah. But I mean, I think so that one of my big questions is if you did do like a committee or something like that, how they would rebrand the idea that the final decision is mine to make. Would it be like, would it be that the winner is always her decision to make? So
ours to make. It's what Brooklyn says.
Yeah, but if you have a rotating cast of judges, that's not going to have the same power as. So anyway, these are the pitch meetings that they have at World of Wonder to figure out what they would do to transition out of RuPaul running. And I think that's great.
I'll also be very interested to see how long Michelle sticks around without Ru.
I think at least 2 years.
I was going to say, I think a significantly longer time because she does not have $60 million in the bank and a husband
and
that
her kids are grown, and she's like, whatever, this is a steady paycheck. I don't mind it. I
mean, but she's also she's putting together gigs. I mean, I would have killed someone I love to get to see her in Addams Family on the West End. She just looks so gorgeous. The dude that was playing her husband was amazing. Her actual husband is what?
Can you imagine being such a name in your field, in your world, like being Michelle Visage playing Morticia Addams, and it meaning that because the draw is her, you refer to Gomez Addams
as
of
her
the
husband.
Addams
I know.
family as Michelle Visage's husband in that show she did.
Yeah,
that is so cool for her.
100%.
Gomez would love that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like, I loved when she and Leah Remini were hosting for Wendy Williams. I would have really liked for that to continue. So maybe she doesn't stay on Drag Race, but where RuPaul, I'm always like, will she retire? I mean, maybe not, because Lingo is probably very easy money, but she would definitely step back. She has a ton of money. She's got the fracking stuff. She and George are fine. They're good. Michelle has not as much money and could be making more, and I think has a lot of potential. I mean, like, she has not even begun to tap this feeling that she is like the mother that a lot of queer people never had, because she's so loving and so accepting and has shown up on social media and just been such a great figure. And I'm not trying to taint that by capitalizing it, but there is money to be made from the image. So I hope she takes care of herself there, but she's always the one that I'm watching. I love Ru. She's a beautiful statue of a person that I can't touch or change or expect things from. That is just marble
dipped in bronze. That's the end of it,
and that's great. And that is her life. Michelle, I feel like I have no control over Michelle. I can't touch Michelle either, but like it feels a little more organic when I parasocially interact with her.
Well, yes.
I just want to say you even commented on the fact that like so many people have attached to Michelle as a person who takes care of people, as a person who looks out for people. If you're asking me who I think is probably a more true humanitarian, Michelle Visage or Mr. Beast, I'm gonna have to go with like Michelle Visage because Jersey girls get shit done, and that's just one of those things. You know, you're tapping into something that is really central to what we're talking about. What is Drag Race? What is RuPaul? And who are these girls? I think that, you know, to Tori's point of, I don't know why these girls aren't sitting on the judges table every single week. Roxy could. Gotmick could. There are people I don't want to see there. And like, I'm going to use a name and I don't truly not want to see this person, but I don't want to see Delta work. Like, that's not somebody I'm like, I need to see her thoughts on modern drag queens. Like, I could see somebody like Chanel for that same era of girl, but I feel like we are rapidly moving past the age where those girls get to be a part of it. And so like I think about the fact that Kevo, what was it that Vanjie sold? Oreos? Kellogg's? Chips Ahoy. Vanjie had a Chips Ahoy
because get
commercial.
these cookies.
Yeah, she had a Chips Ahoy commercial, and that's phenomenally cool. And I wonder how much I genuinely give a shit. And like, I don't mean it that cruelly, but how much I really care. What, I don't know, somebody from season 2, Angina. So, like, I don't know that I'm that broken up that Angina doesn't have commercials. And I don't know that I would care so much what she thinks about it. Also, Angina, Mama, I love that you wrote poetry and shared it with the world. I love that you chose to share with us that you are stepping back from drag. I only hope that the world covers whatever it is you're planning to do next with the same gusto. And I think you're amazing. We'll love you. We'll miss you.
I think what you said brought up a very interesting point of once Rue is gone, do all the people that Rue refuses to work with ever again come back?
Oh,
In certain cases, like
Tyra's gonna really blow up.
If you're talking about Willem,
Well, Delta work follows under there too.
yeah, Delta is one that I could see for sure because that was a really specifically a Rue thing. But like Willem is a good example of like the fight was with production as well. It was with World of Wonder. I sort of wonder if anybody who worked with Mom, Willem in Alaska's production company, will be allowed to work with WoW. But that would be very interesting to see for sure. That'll be, I don't know. I'm ready for this kind of sea change for Drag Race. This is
Right.
I know we've got a few more seasons in this post-COVID format that they've got and kind of the new value and the new aesthetic of the show. And I really hope the next thing after that comes from a big sea change like Rue leaving and not from another global pandemic or like Black Swan event on our planet that changes the show, but rather the production company being like, here's some shift in how we're going to do things.
Is WoW Rue's company?
No.
Okay.
She probably has some stake in it at this point, but it's two dudes, Fenton and hold on.
Okay.
No.
I'm sorry. I was under the impression this was Rue's company.
Fenton Bailey and Randy Barbado. It is their company. They've been working with her forever. It's been World of Wonder has existed since '91.
Yeah, I get the feeling that these are the people who like did Supermodel of the World's music video for her, and then
it probably is that. Yeah. But yeah, it's their company.
Okay,
she's contracted with them. But
she's contracted. Wow! Oh,
how dare you? But they have made as many enemies out of the girls as RuPaul had. Like Fenton and Randy are not beloved people. They are very cutthroat and very nasty and very in it for themselves. You don't make a show without being that way.
Yeah, no. Let me just okay. I feel like sometimes because I am a pragmatic dreamer, I get slapped in the face by my own words a lot because I say them on a boomerang, and so they come right back at me. When you say them louder than anybody else, you hear it the loudest. Now, when we started season 5 of Drag Race, within 1 minute, I knew I was going to love this show for the rest of my life because I met Alaska, and I knew in an instant, I just knew. that this art was for me. That said, Alaska is like the saddest version of a musical character who starts out just a funny drag queen with a lot of things to say, and then ultimately just becomes a giant dollar sign and only does things for money. And even though she spends like 2/3 of her day talking about how like she's not going to work for RuPaul's Drag Race again, she spends the other 1/3 of her day making content about Drag Race. And so I just sort of think that Alaska is a dollar sign, not an artist. And that's really great because I want to be a dollar sign and an artist, and having somebody who does both so well is really cool. She's just clearly chosen one more than the other, and that's fine. But like, I do think sometimes when people are like, no, that girl's mean. No, you have to be mean. You're trying to make art in a world that eats artists. Sometimes I am going to say things like, I think Alaska is a dollar sign now. It doesn't mean that Alaska couldn't outperform me. I am very proud of my vocal range, my musical ability, and my ability to go on a stage and dance. I don't know that I think Alaska dances a whole lot better, but I do know that she can outperform me any day. And so, like, I think sometimes in that way that I have been told that I clock drag queens being unnecessarily shady with one another as just kind of being cunty for no reason, I think something that we have really lost is the art of a really good criticism. Like, I am very comfortable saying I am probably, in terms of vocal competence, the best singer from technical training of the 4 people on this panel. I've had the most technical training. I should be. And if I wasn't, I've wasted all of that technical training. But I don't think that means that if the 4 of us all sang the same song, I would always be the best performer. I don't think that means that I would always sing the song the best. And I don't think that means I am the greatest singer in the world. And like, the idea that sometimes these girls will say, yeah, that wasn't a great moment for you. And the whole internet is like, can you believe Nina West told Roxy that Tasha Salad isn't funny? No shit, Tasha Salad isn't funny. It's from this show. The funniest thing about this show is when the girls take prep twice because they forgot they already took it. That's the only humor that comes here. It is just not a funny show. So sometimes when like people get really angry about criticism, I find myself a little bit lost because criticism is part of art.
I support that thesis 100. I mean, we were having this conversation yesterday when we were talking comics, because we have lost. This is like, social media has ruined us, because it used to be you would make a piece of art and a critic that you didn't know, who worked at a paper that you didn't work at, who you were really probably never going to encounter. And even if you did, it was going to be in like very controlled banquet circumstances. Most of the time you just weren't going to fight. And they would write a review, and if it was a bad review, you might hate them forever, but it would just never really come to anything. There was never going to be a point to interact. Now...
No. I'm sure you're wrong, because Anton Ego shows up at the restaurant, and then Remy has to make the ratatouille for Anton Ego.
Well, and that is a very post-social media film, so...
It's like literally
there's a conversation about this happening in the fanfic world, where it's very much, unless the author specifically asks you to critique, please keep your thoughts to yourself. And that is the new thing, and the old guard is very confused by it, and the new guard is very confused that everyone's confused, and there's just a lot of yelling.
Fanfic review pages. Oh my god, no, start building fanfic review sites, and then just let the work stand like a book stands. There aren't a ton of reviews in the back of a book that get updated every time Robert Fagatron decides that he's mad with the representation in red, white, and royal blue. So like, oh my god, that is amazing. We should be building fanfic review archive sites.
I mean, I completely go.
I thought you were saying that the fanfic world was saying we can't critique the creators of the franchises that we are fanfic.
Oh no, they love doing that.
Yeah, no, tear Jake the rolling the pieces.
You can always come for God, but don't come for
the
Yeah, I mean, that is where we are now, and I think we see it a lot with drag queens and on Drag Race where people will get on social media and say shit. And it's always this thing of like, if those people were my friends, I would say you don't need to get on social media and just run your mouth and be really horrible about a person that's just existing. You can do better than that. But the other side of it is like, our celebrity world was designed for a system where you would never hear that opinion. If you were a celebrity, you would never know directly that people hate you. You might have some concept that exists in the world, but you would never encounter it. You would never have to read their words.
Unless you're Tori Spelling.
Exactly. And
Julie and Michelle, you can't read them.
I couldn't get there fast enough, Kevo. I couldn't remember who was illiterate these days.
Jonathan, can you read this? I don't know why she's reading. She's talking so slow.
Is it good? Anyway.
So we're stuck where we are now. I think it is a big old mess. And I think it's great to critique people. I think doing it respectfully is really good. It's wild that when you are respectful, and one of the phrases I use a lot is like, I didn't connect with this thing. It didn't work for me. And it's wild that even that is still like very offensive to people whose art. And I get it. Like, I run a business where people review it, and there are times where I'm really offended. My thing is like, it really does affect my bottom line, and in a way that it doesn't for artists. I get what it is like to read a review and be like, this is so wrong. You're not describing my thing. You're describing something else. But like, at the end of the day, it just, you got to figure out how to move past it. And particularly when they're innocuous, when they're respectful, when it's just, I didn't like this thing. That doesn't mean it's bad. Doesn't mean you did a bad job. Just somebody didn't like it. I don't know. We've completely lost how to do that. And I do think we see a lot that Drag Race is the land of people don't know how to respectfully dislike something. People don't know how to respectfully take being disliked. Mm-hmm. And it's a big old mess a lot of the time.
Coming from the theater world and the entertainment world, your Facebook is always one or two posts away from the person seeing it, just because of who knows who. And it is one of those things where I used to live tweet the Oscars like I was seven drinks deep. And I went in and I burned all of those tweets because they were not respectful. They were not well thought. They were going for a quick, sharp dig, really fat, in a really quick manner that I was not pleased with myself about. But I do think that the fandom can't tell the difference between someone coming in and being like, listen, I don't know much about drag, but I do know, what's exciting, what it seems like the judges like, give or take, and how well people are doing at it. And so we can talk about these things, but also Roxy Andrews doesn't need to care what I think.
And absolutely should not. Absolutely should not get on Twitter, see what you have said, and think anything about it.
She's not going to call me an idiot or try to discredit me or get me fired. She'll probably be like, bitch, you don't know what you're talking about. You can't come for me. And I'd be like, that's fair. I can't.
Stop.
Thank you.
X.
Thank you for the viralness.
It's like actually something that I've gotten on my high horse about, and I actually want to get on my own high horse at myself. I keep saying stuff like the vocals were bad, and everybody's like, well, that's because you're a music person. And I'm like, well, you guys have opinions about other things too. But like, I don't think that all of the greatest coaches of all time are the greatest players of all time. I don't think the world's greatest songwriters and producers are the world's all-time greatest performers. I think that you can know an art well enough to have informed, beautiful opinions on it and not be necessarily capable of executing it. And so, Tori, I also have a number of those, like, there are some early episodes of X's for Podcast and X's for Show where I regret a lot of my jokes because I am very quick to be funny and very slow to be thoughtful. And I would like to switch those ratios a bit. But there are episodes where I say some pretty glib things about people I would go on to then have like the physical phone number of. And have to be like, oh my God, I hope they never go back and go, oh my God, that's my buddy Nico. And this is that episode where he talks about oh my God. And like, I have to look at that person at FlameCon. I have to look at that person at New York Comic Con. I have to look at that person at Awesome and MegaCon. And like, I don't want to make jokes that hurt people, but at the same time, I am a purveyor of art and I am a purchaser of art. And I am somebody who spends my life, my time, and my money on these things. And so I do get to say, I think that, TK, you used a beautiful phrase. I didn't connect with that. I just wish Plastique would say that about the lip syncs. And I think that it's that's a joke. And I can say that because she is a genius and a brilliant performer. And he is an incredible businessman. And they are icons as two sides of the same person. But like, we are in a position where these are all stars. They are all brilliant. But we have gotten some comments here and there that are like, you're too mean. And I really hear that. This is why it's here. This is literally the mask I wear when I go out and do my drag king bit. I get on stage and perform and do get heckled and don't always get applause and don't always get thunderous, singles thrown at me. Yes, I do well in tips. Thank you. But are you
doing more shows that I'm not invited to?
Oh no, Mama, you're always invited. I've just been doing this stupid get paid for money thing. Dumb jobs and also secret projects coming up and amazing drag loops in the background. But I just feel like one of the things I hope for the future of Drag Race is that we see the discourse evolve so that even if All Stars doesn't evolve, like we've given them 1,000 pitches for, the fandom can help the discourse evolve the way, Tori, you presented that fanfic has forced the discourse to evolve by elevating the level of fanfic to published work where the reviews are not built into the back, but instead you have to look for them separately. I think that's lovely. And I think that's what's really important here. How do you guys feel about not just this episode, but the fact that there was no peak Jonah to chime in with real quick, but okay, hold on. Oh,
and you don't understand about the lore.
Wait. You know what? We don't always need the lore, but we always need Jonah. And
we need his allure.
That is correct.
Ooh,
I need the audience to know that this is not the impression they do of Jonah in private. And I don't think they should do that one in public right now. I think that is best left off screen. No, it is not, Kevo. It is a completely different person. But that's okay. They are both such loving impressions in their own way. And I am just highly amused. Very much miss Jonah. Cannot wait to get his thoughts because there were a lot of things. Again, like Jonah has been such a champion for Chanel. And Jonah is really who I was thinking about. Because again, like I gag with Jonah about Chanel, but again, I don't really think of myself as much of a Chanel fan. I just like remember Chanel. Like I remember those early seasons and I remember like finding that whole thing weird. But I had this moment where I was like, I am in now, somebody who didn't think I really cared for Chanel. I'm so rooting for her. And I so think she won this lip sync. It's so great seeing her do this. And I was not shattered that she didn't win, but it was fun having that moment where I was like, look at her go.
That old bitch won't die.
I can't believe her walker fits on stage and allows her to do that dressography.
Don't bring that up because the judges hated that one. They thought that Anitra did too many splits for an old lady.
How dare you?
Well, I love Chanel, but tell us more, Kevo.
Well, have you seen the show, Tamar? Because Michelle doesn't like the color green. So
Speaking
it's
of which,
funny.
Toni Braxton has been doing some shows lately. She looks amazing.
Also, you know who looks amazing? Nelly Furtado on the cover of Seven.
I can't handle Nelly Furtado.
We're gonna have a conversation about this.
She'll handle you later.
If we can go back to that amazing image of what I can only describe as La Elphaba.
Green hands.
Roxy Andrews in that ridiculous green outfit with the hands up. I can't think of anybody who, again, every one of these queens is so good at everything. They are individually the 64 pack of crayons. But Roxy's voice isn't really feminine, but I really want to hear her sing Defying Gravity in this.
Well, and the two colors, the blue and the green.
She is so beautiful, so perfect, so incredibly funny, so well put together. I do just want to say it is hard for me as somebody who maybe preferred thicker Roxy, who thinks that she continues to use the term thick when she is now, by my standards, a bit more of a slender man. You guys heard it here. Roxy Andrews is slender man. Oh my god. Gotmick is mini slender man. So anyway, I love Roxy. I think she is like literally one of the most beautiful men. Season 5 Roxy is the most attractive man to ever be on a reality program ever in the history of the world. I've said it 10 times and I'll say it 10 more. The most handsome man I've ever seen. And it's just so cool that really handsome man has grown into the person that they wanted to be. And that RuPaul has said people like Robert Redford and Paul Newman get to document who they are through things like Sundance and salad dressing. And instead, RuPaul has said, I'm going to make it easy to document who you are for people like Jinx and Roxy through Chicago and Tasha Salad.
Yeah, I was going to say, just hit me right now that this is Tasha.
It is
also,
clearly her being Tasha.
This is so much crying from her. This is so much crying from her this season. And in front of her, Tasha Salad. Thank you.
Anyway, okay, I'm gonna sit here and wax poetic about how like Gotmick reminds me of every incredible trans person I have ever met who keeps a song in their heart and a smile on their face and never lets you see how hard it is to just be happy in this stupid world, or how unbelievably cool it is to see somebody like Georges come to believe in themselves in ways they definitely started the season thinking would be their bye weeks. You know what I mean? I could talk about this all night long, but at some point it's just going to be me talking about how beautiful each one of these girls are. So before I can get to House of Love cocktails about it, good for me. House of Love is actually an unbelievable song and album by the incredible Amy Grant, featuring vocals by her husband, Vince Gill. It's really good. You should all check it out. No, you shouldn't. It's terrible. Let's get this episode out of here. Tori, what is your absolute favorite thing about this episode, and who would you like to have seen one all said and done?
I mean, I loved a lot of what was going on. I really enjoyed Roxy versus Georges. I thought that was an excellent lip sync. I enjoyed how the girls hyped each other up after they had mediocre ones. I thought that was really sweet.
Yeah.
And honestly, I thought this was a great time, and I was very happy. You know, I think they are all every woman.
I really, really agree. They all had such a good time, and I think that's part of what makes this exciting. It's part of what maybe makes this a little bit different than a regular season. Because you're in 16.
I am in All Stars 8. I just watched Alexis Michelle give her very best, B. Arthur, and still lose.
Speaking of shiny and reflective things, I also love that you came dressed to the nines. I think you look, by the way, I just want to be clear, while I am making deep jokes about Alexis Michelle, Tori really does look beautiful and incredible, and should definitely not be, also Alexis, I'm not, but honey, just embrace the Trixie.
It's okay. It's okay.
You're so handsome.
At everyone who does it.
Yeah, no, Alexis is such a handsome man. But Tori, one of the things that has been really exciting is you haven't met her yet, but there is a lesbian who competes on Drag Race UK.
I've heard about Victoria Scone because she's a fellow Victoria. I'd research those girls.
She is one of my absolute favorite international queens, and one of the things is that it's tough because like it's Victoria, Maddie, and Got. There's really, so few avenues that there are only one person on this show, and I'm occasionally embarrassed that it's just one woman speaking for our show. when, whether it's Victoria or equally beautiful, incredible, equally women like the trans competitors who come through this show, we don't always represent women the same way. So it's always so valuable when you're here. So thank you.
You can't get rid of me now.
No, we can't, and we wouldn't want to, especially now that I hear you got a passport, because if I'm not mistaken, you've branched out and your ass has gone Don't cover your eye at me like that, husband. I am making a funny joke.
Oh, I will.
Have I gone international with what?
With your Drag Race coverage.
Yeah, no. I mean, I've been to the UK. I've been to Canada. I've been to UK versus the world, which really just turned into UK. I don't know what that joke went nowhere. But yeah, no, I've traveled around the world a little bit, and I look forward to all of the future ones that I have to do, like UK's 2 and 3, and I haven't been down under yet. I'm very excited. But
I look forward to you getting to Kate Butch, who just had her one-woman show at the Edinburgh Festival. Very happy for her, very excited. But
That's
Tori,
very
until we come back and have the prestige of having you, where can everybody find you on the interwebs?
You can find me at SM Tori. That's Tori with an I on all the enjoying life and hopefully popping up some art soon. We'll see.
Oh, I'm really excited about that art. It's going to be a real cutie. Kevo, speaking of cuties, speaking of people that I think are real and amazing, Kevo, where can everybody find you online, and who did you want to see win?
I'm not real. I don't know about, I'll say the first thing first, I guess. You can find me at Kevo Really, KVOREALY. I say my social media handle like I signed my name. It's gibberish, but it's all over all of our posts. Kevo Really. I don't know about who I necessarily wanted to win, but I feel like Roxy winning the lip sync LaLaPaRuZa at least did feel kind of like it was inevitable. I thought it was perhaps going to go instead to Angeria, but like we said, maybe this is like that Saphira thing where maybe Roxy got this so Angeria can get the season, or who knows. So much is up in the air. I am really nervous about whatever next week is going to be. That's going to require us prolonging it another week, but we'll see. And until then, Teak, where can the folks at home find you, and who did you want to see win?
Oh, try again for me.
I know. I really wanted Chanel to win the lip sync. I think I really am still. I would love for the top 3 to be Angeria, Gotmick, and Plastique. That's where I'm at with it. You can find me at TK Elemental. Nico, socials. Who do you want to win?
Tori, can you just take your headphones off for 1 second? I really wanted Nina to pull a Megami so badly. That's all I wanted. That was all I wanted in my entire heart.
You wanted her to protect queer art?
I wanted her to come in
That's
second.
what I said!
That was literally what he said when I said it live. Thank you. Tori, come back. Thank you. As for me, you guys can find me at Nico Action. That's NICOACTION. You can find my music at Nico Action Music. That's NICOACTIONMUSIC. You can find the show at X is for Show. You can find our comic feed at X is for Podcast. That's X is for, and then show and podcast. Can't miss it. There's 3 things we would love if you guys did. That's comment, like, and subscribe. We are so grateful for all our new fans. You all are amazing. We can't wait to talk about Grey's Anatomy on Sunday, my new favorite show ever. But beyond that, you can also check out everything we do all weekend long on all of our feeds. So like, comment, and subscribe, and we can't wait to hear from you. You're incredible. But then there's 3 things you guys could do for us. That is, number 1, please do me a favor. Stay safe. Scary world. We all want to see you here tomorrow. Number 2, do me a favor and be brave, because who you are is so special. We can't get enough of it. And then number 3, evolve daily, because who you were yesterday, amazing. Who you are today, incredible. But who you are tomorrow, that's what we're living for. And until then, we cannot wait to see you. So stay cool, and we'll see you.